Crystal Media Podcast Network.
This is Table for Two.
Welcome to Table for Two, our podcast where we have a conversation with the leadership of significant companies in Brunei about some unique forms of leadership, about some unique circumstances. Today, more so than ever, we'll have conversations about both of those topics as we meet today with Mr. Syafiq Metassan. Syafiq is the Deputy General Manager of McDonald's Brunei, also known as Makan Ceria Sendirian Berhad. Syafiq, here we are in McDonald's. We've been planning this for months. Let's just get that out there. Syafiq, we want to talk to you a little bit about two main areas when it comes to McDonald's and Makan Ceria. Number one, clearly how you've handled leadership in times of crisis. We can't escape this conversation. But also number two, very interestingly, the Bruneiization, that's a long word today, the Bruneiization of a global brand. We have McDonald's, we have Makan Ceria. You're here to oversee all that, but let's get straight into it. Syafiq, how has the last 1 year been for you?
Thank you for the question. I think the past year has been, I'm not going to hide it as well, it's been quite challenging, but also provides an opportunity for me when I stepped in and assumed into this role to really look into what we can do internally. Because I think, when you ask the question about leadership in crisis, yes, we are in fact in a crisis, something that's external that we can't control. So it begs me, or at least and the leadership team and the management team, to really look into what we can do internally. So that's really focusing on our people, on our processes and our policies so that we can close that gap and work on it even better.
So we're not as early on in the days as we were as October 2023, when we saw all that footage which has been circulated, and it did have an impact on Brunei McDonald's, on customer sentiment here. How have things changed from October 2023 to today?
So if I were to look at it back from October 23, so the impact is we still feel the impact, but I think what's more important is that we had to really pivot and really focus on localizing the brand. We've been in the business for, at least in the market, for almost 32 years. So December will be the 32nd anniversary of McDonald's Brunei, McDonald's in Brunei. So I think it's also an opportunity for us to really take this step forward and really informing, the public and whether you are a lover of McDonald's or on the fence, and really just focusing on what McDonald's Brunei has done to the community. We've been providing jobs, local employment to, currently it's about 230 staff. But at the same time, we're also working with suppliers to localize our products. We're also looking at working with various NGOs to really support their initiatives in various fields, and really just trying to be that part, that fabric of the community that we were established to be in the first place, right? McDonald's Brunei is as much as local. It's right now run by Bruneians for Bruneians. So that's really the part that we really want to share with the people.
So the specific issue really was that footage of McDonald's feeding the armies. And that had a spillover effect into the Bruneian consumers as well.
Yep.
So what was the immediate action you took to try and mitigate that?
So I think first, when we saw what happened and I think what was out there, I think what we did initially was looking at, okay, what was the response, right? So obviously a lot of Bruneians and also non-Bruneians, or at least Muslim population, really did take effect. They really were impacted by that footage. But I think it came to a point where the impacted markets really looked into how do we, we understand that that's happening, and we understand that the brand is so visible and so big that people will have perceptions about it. But ultimately for us is really looking into ways to say that no, McDonald's Brunei is separate, where the other markets are also separate. We work on a franchise model only. So that is the ability to run McDonald's in Brunei. So without that franchise, we won't have a McDonald's in Brunei. So it's it's that sort of situation, right? But I think ultimately we're looking at how do we re-engage and re-communicate. And I guess one more important thing is to really reconnect back with our customers or non-customers, and telling them how central McDonald's has been in Brunei for the past, again, like I said, 32 years. And really just focusing on that aspect of localization.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Syafiq. The main strategy was therefore to remind people that McDonald's Brunei is a Bruneian company at the end of the day. It operates independently to other McDonald's across the world. You have your own commitments to the community. Yes. You have your own philosophies of running. Yes. And so that was part of the key messaging in order to bring back your customers.
Yes.
Do you think it worked?
like so I said, that is something that we're still working on. It's still a journey that we're going through, because I think the sentiment it still exists, it still persists in the community. But I think what we're really trying to do, again, from what I said initially, was how do we localize such a global brand? So I think what we did initially was looking at, McDonald's, at least globally, has really core values that they really, that cuts across all the McDonald's, which is serve, integrity, inclusion, community, and family. That's the basic core value of any McDonald's, employee or a company that runs McDonald's. But I think what we did initially was, how do we localize that to make it relevant to the frontliners, or what we call ambassadors of McDonald's in Brunei, right? So we came up with this BISAI concept, or this BISAI values, which literally is just bekerja sama. So really working together with not only internally, but also with the community, to really to make it to get a better understanding of how the sentiment is, and also eyes integrity. So that is definitely the core of any company, right? Making sure that we do the right things, and not only doing the right things, but doing things the right way as well. And I think S was sabar, so that's all about resilience, right? So what I've seen now is a lot of resilience from our team, making sure that we are able to be as agile, and we pivot whenever something doesn't work. We have to find ways to make it work, right? To find that solutions. And I think A is amanah, so that's really just about that responsibility that we serve our customers on a day-to-day basis, with a smile, with the speed that you expect, with the quality that you expect and you want from a McDonald's. And lastly, all that you won't do that if you don't have the sincerity or ikhlas, right? So being able to do it no matter what externally happening in the world, and how that impacts, the team's morale, the team's motivation, or even individually. So I think that was one of our biggest takeaway from what has happened externally, was how do we internalize and find ways and solutions to make it more local. But I think beyond that, we've also tried to work deeper, and like I said, re-engage, reconnect, and also just find out, or at least work with other partners, and partners who understand that there is a differentiation and there's a difference between McDonald's Brunei or a McDonald's Global, and really understand that we can support community efforts, community initiatives with our NGOs, and those are the ones that we continuously support, not only through our donation boxes, but also we have a platform, what we call Makan Ceria Selalu Bersama. So that's a platform that unites all our donation efforts, our community efforts, and even our initiatives that we work with, right, with the NGOs. Yeah.
And again, we're going to confirm again that McDonald's Brunei operates completely independently from any other McDonald's franchise.
Yeah.
And you operate under a very local set of auspices.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you manage the impact it must have had on our own local Bruneian staff, because that's where a lot of the divide happens.
Yeah.
The one part, people want to feel as though they are doing what they can, so they boycott McDonald's because it's all they feel they can do.
Sure.
On the second hand, we're almost cannibalizing our own economy. We're almost victimizing our own people. So how did you manage your McDonald's team? It must have been tremendously difficult for them.
Yeah, I think on that part, what we really tried to set up was a lot of transparency with the team, telling them this is the current situation, current realities, and telling them that we have plans and strategies to close the gaps that we find, right? Whether it's financially or operationally, or even on a HR matter, for example. But I think the hard decision, or at least that really was challenging for me, and I think the leadership team as well, was really just trying to balance between really speaking out and versus really trying to just listen, right? So I think that was one thing we did, was really worked with the operations team to better understand, engage. Were there any pushbacks from family members, if their children or family working in McDonald's? I think alhamdulillah, we didn't have to lay off anybody naturally, so we didn't have to cut down of our workforce. They're the ones facing the customers daily, and it's a slew of customers, right, with different expectations and different ways of managing and dealing what we're facing. But at the same time, there's still the people who love to come to McDonald's. They still remember McDonald's from their, you have parents who now bring their children because it's a nostalgic place for them. It's where people might meet their, significant other, and all those good stuff still happens, right? Because I think at the end of the day, we are very much true to our core mission, which is really just bringing in, at least providing delicious feel-good moments, easy for everyone. We are there to be your safe place, for anybody who wants to come to just have burgers and fries, or at the same time have your birthday party. So this is our doors are always open for everybody. I think that's the basic thing that we wanted to always engage and remind people that. But at the same time, it's really just working on how do we then become a bit more brave enough to really work with the community. So each of the restaurants have a very strong community with the mosques, or at least with the relevant community partners. So they really just try to work on that and really find ways to further engage and make more of an impact. So I think we're so used to just doing a lot of things, but I think now we're being very strategic in terms of making the most meaningful impact to the stakeholders that we're working with.
And it definitely feels as though some of your messaging as of late has really been about how involved you are with the community. The whole sales approach seems to be almost put to the side, and your priority really has been, you've been part of our community. How many years, Syafiq? 32 years. And at the end of the day, nothing has actually changed about McDonald's Brunei. What's changed is there's some sentiments around global McDonald's, which has kind of bled into that. Moving forward now, obviously, maybe we're coming out and we're turning around a corner. What kind of plans can we see from McDonald's as we look ahead now in terms of further messaging and further deepening ties to the community?
So I think we've always had an ambition of having at least 10 stores in Brunei, right?
How many do we have now already?
6.
Oh.
So we're building, we're working on the 7th store. So really just trying to expand, because expansion also means opportunity to employ, at least if it's a non-drive-through store, it's about 30 to 40 people. If it's a drive-through store, at least 70 to 80 packs of new crew or managers, right? So expansion is one of the, growth is one of the ambition that we have in order to build that presence with the community. We've just opened the KB1 this year, and that has proven to be sort of a new market, a whole new customer base. So that does help, with regards to our overall growth ambition. But I think the other part is really just getting back to where we used to be, right? So I think everybody, if you're not familiar with McDonald's, we used to have a lot of promotions, limited time offers. I was really bringing that back, because I think that's one way we can, get our customers in. We will be bringing in the usual things that we always bring in. Is always coming back, but how do we then start to further localize that taste preference for Bruneians, right? So that means working with the suppliers. So fun fact, our ayam goreng is locally supplied. Even our baras is locally supplied. So how do we work with our suppliers to localize that taste flavor profile, right? That's always going to be an exciting part for our menu development. But ultimately, it's always going to be further re-engaging and re-communicating our position in the market, but as well as how we can support, whether it's NGOs or any other stakeholders, even more, because we are that part of the community and we've been there for almost 32 years. Yeah.
So I've never thought of it this way. So Syafiq, basically, if I choose, for example, to not be a patron of McDonald's anymore, a lot of people are affected by this. And it's not affecting anybody outside of Brunei. It's affecting only Brunei. So just to emphasize that point, if I don't patronize McDonald's, it's going to affect supply chains, which are local.
Yes.
It's going to affect employment, which is local.
Yes.
And it's going to affect economy. So the ripple effect is quite huge.
Yeah.
And whilst we obviously coming from a place of principle, there are some definite consequences of that internally, which at the end of the day may not tell such a good story.
Yeah.
Syafiq, I want to ask you now, what's one unexpected outcome that may have been positive from a very challenging 1 year for you?
Yeah, I think it was when the team and I went down to the restaurants and really trying to understand, how the operations team is handling, customers or even the current situation, was really just this level of resilience that I see, from the team. So it's really just building up on that resilience and having to know that there is the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So how do we then work together as one, cross-functionally, or even with our stakeholders to really, realize that vision, right? Because I think that doesn't change. It's just our approach, right? And how we create that path towards that goal. So like I said, the goal of building stores is still there. It's still etched in the brains of our team, because that also means opportunity for someone to go up as a restaurant manager, and we have, I think just now we mentioned about 32 years, we have someone in the management team who's been with the company for 32 years.
From the beginning.
From the beginning. And she has 2 of her sons who are managers in the restaurants. So it's that and it's not, she's not the only one. There's also a few of them who have, kids and who've met their partners working at McDonald's. So a lot of that family values is what really, what McDonald's also is all about, right? And I think continuing that legacy is really important because we are your home away from home, right? Whether it's at work or even just for someone to bring their kids or family to eat, right? So I think just reminding people that the impact of choosing not choosing McDonald's is far bigger than what you see, right? Because I think, but at the same time, when talk about the positive part is, like I said, the resilience part. So the team is still eagerly waiting for the customers. They come in, they still provide the best service. They still ensure their best service delivery just to make sure that they leave, or at least they leave a customer leaving McDonald's and, happy and satisfied and trying to come back again. So it's always going to be about that basics, back to basics, right? So I think this has been the biggest thing that I really see over the past year was this resilience in the team. So that's really good.
Why do you suppose they're so resilient? Why are they so committed? This difficult time for them to stay here. They could have left, Syafiq. They could have gone somewhere easier. What do you suppose that's about?
If I were to really relate it back to that values, they really ring true this time, right? Is that they create this sense of belonging within the restaurant. So as much as, we have a lot of managers who are more than 5 years, 10 years working in the restaurants, right? And they build their relationships and their families, within McDonald's. But at the same time, they also understand that being part of a global brand means having access to global systems, global knowledge, global training. So they are more, how do I say, they're very much exposed to all these best practices from outside and sharings and knowledge. So how do they, it's up to them to really just take it and localize it in the Bruneian context, right? So that opportunity has still not, we still don't take that away. That's still ongoing, even in times of crisis, because we believe that investing in the people is the only way to go for this time.
And maybe on a real simple level, Syafiq, your employees and staff really do understand at the very core of McDonald's, you are Bruneian.
Yes.
You are not outside of it. You're not part of that big system happening outside. And I think that probably attributes to a huge reason to why they stayed. They stayed for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think they're staying not only for, like you said, the right reasons, but understanding that there is still opportunity for growth, whether it's personal development, but also with the company together with us. But at the same time, they understand that it's been a place where it has given them their home, but also a place for them to grow as well. So I think that is still something that they really really believe in. And like I said, I'm always thankful for operations because they're the ones who are facing the customers day to day.
So Syafiq, we were meant to spend a lot of this conversation talking about you and your leadership role. So I want to come back to that now. When exactly did you come into this position of Deputy General Manager of McDonald's?
So March this year.
So March of this year.
Then.
So that was kind of around the thick of things happening. Yes. Why did you come in around March of this year? Was it by choice? Did you want to come in at such a difficult time?
No, so I was previously the business development lead. So really just working on building, the growth ambition, the strategy. So really focusing on that. So we had an internal transition to really work on how do we then grow from where we are right now, right? So I think it was not my choice, but it was still an opportunity that I couldn't say no to, because I think same as anybody in the system, or at least in McDonald's, I still believe that there's hope and opportunity to grow within the company and for McDonald's to grow in Brunei as well. And I think at that time it was just a matter of, do I want to take that challenge and really being part of something that is going to be exciting in the future, or really just take a easy way out and move on to a different place, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to stay on because, I still feel and I still believe that I have a team that still so much more room to grow, and I want to be part of that growth and that development. Yeah.
Was there ever a time, Syafiq, when you took on the role, you were new to it, and some of the misconceptions around McDonald's and some of the beliefs and some of the happenings globally weren't aligned with what you personally believe in? How did you manage any of those misalignments?
Yeah, so I think it goes back to the core the values, right? So I think that was the first exercise, was localizing that values, making sure that it was relevant to the local context. That was our first action. But secondly was just understanding, like I said, was there are going to be external factors that will always be part of business, right? You know, we had the COVID-19 pandemic a couple of years ago. That was a crisis that really affected supply chain and also operations. But now there's a different type of crisis, right? So it also then builds my internal resilience and also the team to be able to have a little bit of foresight and build up on that capability to think of, you know, mitigating risks for the future, and also being able to have, you know, scenario planning for the future in any form of crisis, right? So I think that's always going to be one part that I've worked with the team, was to really build on. Yeah, we have certain promotions, campaigns. What is going to be the risk? How are we going to mitigate that risk? How are we going to move? That doesn't happen. How do we then build? Like I said, the agility needs to be there. So, still a journey. It's still an ongoing journey for us, and trying to find that sweet spot between executing things as planned, but also being able to pivot when you need to, when things don't work your way. So really just having that agility across the functions and being able to, I guess, listen to customer feedback, listen to sentiments, and also just trying to close any gaps.
What kind of sentiments currently are you hearing from customers?
I mean, other than, you know, for them just thinking that going to McDonald's will contribute to something externally. But then that is, you know, I've heard it from the restaurant managers or even the managers in the restaurants. Basically, there's a lot of other misconceptions, right, of people working at McDonald's.
Okay, like what?
So it's cases of like, I think there was a customer who wanted to speak to the manager, right? And then out comes a young fella who's the restaurant manager, the head of the restaurants, right, of that restaurant. And I think the feedback was like, oh, you're quite young. So there's this like, I wouldn't say ageism, but this expectation that, oh, is this the only job? Like, are you not wanting to move out to a different job? And that person has been with us for at least about 10 years already. So I think that perception of, you know, low-skilled labor, or at least, lack of certain opportunities to grow from out of McDonald's. But what they forget is that this is them building their, you know, their own, how do I say that, their periuk nasi, right? This is their livelihoods. And like I said, there are also some people who, or at least some of the staff here who are, you know, the eldest of 4 or 5 siblings, and they're the breadwinners. So they really are trying to find a job that provides for them, and that one that they enjoy and have opportunities to grow in, and at the same time is built, you know, and grow with that. So sort of misconception about, you know, lack of motivation for them wanting to work outside of fast food industry or work in the restaurants. But what they're missing is that there is a career path and career development within them if they choose to take on the challenge and the opportunity, right?
And is this a unique situation in McDonald's Brunei?
I wouldn't say so. I think it's very general enough for the F&B business. But unless you own that business, then it's a whole different thing. But I think working in at least for the operations team in the F&B is more, there's this feedback of like, or is this what you're only good at?
Because, you know, Syafiq, on the movies, they always throw around, yeah, you're just going to get a job at McDonald's. If you're, you know, if you want to get anywhere in life, you won't be there. But I get the feeling that to work for McDonald's Brunei, there is definitely career trajectory. You have, as you mentioned, this whole global brand framework, which is going to be a very unique experience to grow. So tell me a little bit more about that. You can come in as, let's say, a McDonald's front staff counter, is that what you call them?
Crew,
and then they can be developed to go all the way up to manager role.
Yes.
And that's of a global level.
Yes.
It's an international managerial level.
Yes. Yeah. So I think once you join the operations team, it's very quite structured, right? You come in as a crew, you work, you master the stations. What they call it was, you know how to fry, know how to do the fries, know how to do the grill, know how to do the prep lines. So if someone is really adept at that and very good at that, they really can quickly go up quite quickly. And then it's up to the managers, or at least the shift manager, to really identify their strong points and being able to schedule them, you know, for the shift accurately. So there's always going to be specific people in the drive-through who are very, very good at multitasking.
Oh my goodness. So they're really taking an order while taking your money and calculating your change. How does one train to do that?
Plus, they also have to, while they're taking your order, any customized orders, they'll be the one telling the kitchen at the back. So it's 3 things at once. So I think that just comes with, everybody gets a chance to do that. And I think it just comes from a natural sort of ability to be able to multitask, and that's when they start to really hone that skill, and then they will be really working on that drive-through area.
So that's a real specialized little skill
Yeah.
set.
So there's only a few, not a few, but there's definitely some people who are able to do that and master that really
There's
well.
only a few.
Well, within the restaurants, yes.
So here at your drive-through, there's only a few that you can.
So
Is that because they haven't had enough training, or because it takes a special skill set?
I think it's the latter. So it takes a special skill set to really master that.
My
But
gosh.
everybody gets the opportunity to do that. So it really depends on how they're able to manage the shift, manage the restaurant, manage the customers, and only some are really adept at that. And they're the ones who, I think, time and time you want to shift. You want to put that person in the shift because you know that the drive-thru will run. Because they are the ones, they're the first point of contact, and they're the ones who are the moment you start to order and the moment you start to pay, that's when the time starts, right, for speed of service. So that really just begs, how they manage the customers, how they're able to upsell. So it's a lot of skills involved, soft skills involved.
Because that's really fascinating, right?
Oh, yes.
So how many good people do you have to do that?
I think I don't know the numbers, but per restaurant, at least, they need to have a shift, at least 3 people in the drive-thru team that's always going to be specific, right? So they work really well together.
Yes.
So every shift maybe at least, so if anything happens to that shift, or at least that person is unable to come, you're going to have to be able to take it from the existing, pool who are in the shift. So that may impact certain outcomes, but I think ultimately they're all trained enough. It's just that ability to be able to master that. I've tried it. I can't even stand 5 minutes.
Is it stressful? It looks super scary.
Yes.
So the next time our audience goes and orders at drive-through, understand that
Yes.
they're taking your order.
Yes.
They're listening to orders from the kitchen. They're also calculating change as they're checking somebody out.
Correct.
That is multitasking
Yes.
next level.
Yes. So I tried because, since I assumed the role back in March, I made it a point to understand operations, right? So I asked the operations team, hey, can I at least have 2 hours per week just to understand how the shift, gets run, gets operated. So actually learning how to do the fries, learning how to grill, learning how to do the prep line. Not perfect at it, but it's just something that I'm trying to better understand. And I did the drive-through at McDonald's JP. Someone ordered. It was wrong all the time. So someone to go in and really change the orders every time, because I was,
And people get very emotional about food.
Oh, yes.
Shafiq, I want to close out our conversation with a couple of comments. Number one, it's really brave of you to have this conversation. I think culturally we're not used to doing this. And what we're doing here is navigating a global brand, a local company, and a lot of emotion. So why did you do this today? Why did you agree to this conversation today?
Yeah, I think when we had the first conversation a few months ago, and this idea of having this conversation, it did spark some internal debates, right? Whether or not it's the right thing to do, whether or not it's the right platform to do. But I think ultimately when you take everything away, it's just an opportunity for us to, like I said, was re-engage, reconnect, and I don't want to say correct perceptions, because I think people are entitled to their own opinions and their perceptions that can remain. But I think it's just taking the opportunity to really say what our position is, right? And I think it's been, a year plus since October 2023. So we're very much aware of what's happening externally. But I think at the end of the day is any opportunity for us to be able to reach out to any of our potential customers, or at least potential or the public, is an opportunity we shouldn't miss, right? And I think it's also the right time to really work on, hey, we've been here for 22 years, you might not know certain things about the company, and I think it's an opportunity for us to share some of the localization aspect that we're actually working on, and what has been so far, and especially just looking into the future in terms of how do we work with the stakeholders and the public to become even more local and being your actually local McDonald's brand, right? As global as we are as a brand, we are much, like I said, run by Bruneians for Bruneians, since 2019. So it's been quite recent, but at the same time, it's also been an exciting journey for the people who's working in the company, because I think I've mentioned it, right? There's opportunities and there's growth, and we still see that there is growth, areas of growth within the company in the next 5-10 years. So it doesn't just limit us to certain areas, but really being able to truly localize a global brand. I think that's the legacy that I want to leave when I leave this company not in the distant future.
I think, Syafiq, what I want to leave with is the fact that you were very willing to have this conversation. I think you were very willing to also, as you said, people still have a choice.
Yeah.
They go where they want, when they want.
Yeah.
But for McDonald's role is to give as much transparent information as you can. And also in a very elegant manner, you've done so much for the community and so much for the development of not only the people here, but also on a big national level economy. So we wish you all the best of luck. The double cheeseburgers are very nice with a spicy sauce. Any final words from you, Syafiq, before we say goodbye?
Firstly was, thank you, to you and the team for having us here. And I know it's a controversial topic, but I think other than that, it's just a topic that needs to be addressed. So I think having this platform is just a way for us to be able to share developments in the company and how local it is. And like I said, it's a choice. And I think we're still trying to do things and strategize, promotions or campaigns to really get that, that love of McDonald's back, right? And I think it's been a place of nostalgia for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I think it will remain that. But I think it's how do we start growing with the new generation? How do we start building stronger relationships with the community and our stakeholders, and making that much more impactful and lasting? So other than that is, we have a lot of promotions coming up. So, we have some spicy things coming up. We have spicy nuggets, if you've never tried that.
Oh, I've tried that. My
really
children love that.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's good. So we do have, upcoming promotions that we know our customers enjoy and love. So really just trying to fulfill that demand, right, for the customers. And other than that, it's just we thank you for all the support, and thank you so much.
This has been Syafiq from McDonald's Brunei. Syafiq and team, thank you so much for your time. Table for two. We'll see you next time.
The Crystal Media Podcast Network.